Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Triple Jump podcast. It's a video game podcast. My name is Ben.
My name is Peter.
And my name is Ashton.
Where are you? I can't see you.
Oh, I don't like it. Hello? Come
Hello?
to my
Hello?
voice.
Hello.
Hello?
If you
So
are
far
listening
away.
to this, it's probably not going to be that much different, although it will sound slightly different. If you're watching this, you'll notice there's a big change. It's because we're following government guidance, and for the final two podcasts of the year, that being this week's one and next week's one, we are doing it distanced. So Ashton
Yeah.
and I are in our houses, and Peter is in the office.
I'm in the actual podcast room, and Cultaholic were using the room just before me, and as they've left, they've turned on the Triple Jump thing on the TV for me.
Aw,
I think
that's
they
nice.
Thoughtful.
I think they
Get
thought
you
I
in the
might be on
spirit.
camera, so they've put it on for me. So the room is set up pretty much as you would expect if you're listening at home or watching.
You
at home.
can't see it.
No, I haven't
Not
got the
allowed.
Christmas decks up there, I'm afraid.
Oh,
They're all over the floor.
So I suppose it's time to ask, where are we walking today?
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Can we be dashing through the snow?
I was going to
Well,
say something
should we-
Christmassy.
Should we be dashing through the snow next week? Because that's sort of
Yeah,
our
I
Christmas
suppose so.
podcast, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I guess.
True.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
Right,
sorry.
dashing through the mud then today.
Yeah, I
Cool,
guess.
that's what we want. Let's dash through that winter mud.
Yep.
You always end up going out for a walk, don't you, at Christmas time? And it's always muddy.
Yeah.
Always got to
Yeah.
put on your wellies.
Well,
And
it's
then
on.
if you've gone home for just for Christmas, you didn't bring your wellies because why would you bring your wellies to going home for Christmas?
Why would
So
you bring
Yeah.
your wellies home for Christmas?
You've just got your trainers or something, and it's like, okay, guess we're going for a muddy walk in my nice trainers, I guess.
Chris
And then you're
Rea
like-
didn't sing wellies home for Christmas,
No.
did he?
Absolutely. And then
Exactly,
you're like,
he
I'm not
didn't.
going on this walk. I don't have my wellies. And then they're like, now, look, we're here as a family. Don't,
Yep.
come on now.
You're ruining
Boy,
Christmas, Peter.
all want to do it. Come get some fresh air. You've been cooped in front of that game station cube all morning.
Oh my god, the fresh air comment. I forgot about that.
Come get some fresh air.
You get square
Ugh,
eyes.
What does that mean? I'll get COVID. I don't
Blow
wanna
the
get
cobwebs
fresh
away.
air.
Oh, it's so nice to see you out of your bedroom for once.
Shut up.
Good afternoon.
comments
they
like
say,
that.
As you
Yeah.
come down at 10:30.
Oh,
Look who's decided to
your
join us.
ladyship. So nice of you to grace us with your presence.
It's awake.
See,
All right.
It's single-handedly, it's attitudes like that created the I paused my game to be here / gamer caution gamer at work door sign /
Yeah.
shirt because
Yeah.
nobody who grew up in that environment where which is obviously a very fortunate one, where you can sit in your
Yeah.
room and play games and then you come out and get mildly ridiculed by people who love you and care about you very much. Nobody wanted those. That
No.
was created for mums by mums, I'm
It's also
fairly
that
sure.
attitude that exacerbates the desire to stay in your room and play games.
Absolutely,
If,
it is.
If I wake up at if I've slept in a bit and it's like 10:30 or dare I say it, 11 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, oh man, then I feel like, well, if I stay in my room now until mid-afternoon, then I can go downstairs, and if they try and sass me, I can just pretend. I'll be like, I've been up since 9 actually. I've just been doing work or whatever, So
Yeah.
it makes me want to not go downstairs and see the family.
Exactly the same with me. Exactly the same.
I agree.
This is our video game podcast, as you may have guessed. Next week will be our final podcast of the year. It will be our Christmas themed one. So if you're a patron of a certain tier, and we'll get to that in a sec, maybe, I don't know, you can submit questions. So get thinking up those Christmas gaming questions. And a quick shout out at the top here. For patrons, again, get my words out, we are going to be doing our annual Game of the Year show, the first show back in the new year. Of course, we want to run through the patron-voted Game of the Year alongside ours, so pay attention to the Patreon in the coming week or so. There'll be a post going up telling you exactly how you can get involved. We're sponsored, though, aren't we, Peter, each and every week?
We are. It's very exciting. Have you heard? Did you see at the Game Awards? There's that new Unreal Engine 5 experience based on a movie that is coming out where everyone looks a bit photorealistic but slightly uncanny. Are you aware of this?
No, I don't remember this. Can you explain it in more detail, please?
It's very exciting, Ashton.
Yeah.
They have Unreal have contacted the estates of Sid James, Barbara Windsor, Kenneth Williams, all of the big Carry On stars. It's going to be super exciting. Coming soon, The Matron Awakens, an Unreal Engine 5 experience.
I don't think I understand this one.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of people are going to not understand that.
They're not.
Maybe I'm too young for this one.
It's entirely possible. I mean, we're too young for that one, but I think we're maybe vaguely aware of it as a cultural reference.
Someone's not watching Channel 5 on a Sunday afternoon.
Clearly you've never seen Carry On Roman or whatever it's Carry On Caesar. I don't know what any of them are
Camping
called.
is one, I
Camping
think.
is like the only one that I'm aware of because that is like moderately actually quite, entertaining. But
I have not one clue what you're talking about right now. I'm not even going to lie. I'm like racking my brain. And I mean, Hello Matron is the only thing that even remotely is in my brain in this situation. And I don't know what that's from. So
Right.
I'm just going to... is this a good one, Ben? Is it a good one?
Yeah,
it's
he's
not a
done.
good one.
He's done very well. I'm very proud of Peter
Thank
Austin.
you. Thank you, Ben. Unfortunately,
Great.
as well as it being a good one, seemingly, it's also a false one because it's a lie.
Oh, beans!
that's okay.
I can't
That's
believe
right,
it.
Ashton. We are not sponsored by a movie tie-in Unreal Engine experience game based on the popular blue film franchise Carry On from
Yes.
the 70s?
Yeah, I want to say
Right.
70s, but citation needed. I
Yeah.
don't know for sure. I can't say that I've ever watched one.
No, I've only watched one in full. It was on a school bus. Can you believe we were on a school trip?
You know what? I actually
absolutely
can
can believe it,
that.
yeah.
That's the kind of.
100%.
Oh, I swore no.
Oh no, it's because you're at home.
Oh, beans! That's the kind of stuff that they put on a school bus trip.
But it's kind of like it's a bit saucy, and it's mostly innuendo. Ashton, these films are like very super innuendo heavy, kind of those kind of films.
Matron.
Yeah. Right.
But you occasionally get bits of like women in very large old-fashioned lingerie and stuff like that. So I don't really know why it was on a school bus, but we're on a school trip going away somewhere, and they played that. So I don't know if someone just brought it and was like, "Oh, I'm going to pop that in the DVD player." But
Probably the bus drivers.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah, it's a
Brought
bus
this
driver
from
kind
home.
of series, I think.
Yeah, they love it. Bus drivers listening, can you confirm?
Yeah.
Big Carry On
Yeah.
fans?
Let us know.
So no, we're not sponsored by that.
No.
What we are sponsored by, as we are each and every week, are our wonderful patrons over at patreon.com/Team TripleJump. $1 is all it takes to get access to the question post, and you can submit your questions that could be featured on this show. As I said a minute ago, you can also get access to the Game of the Year thing too, and we'll run down the top voted games of the year as voted by you, alongside mine, Peter's, Ashton's, and James Jenkins, who will be making a special podcast appearance to run down his Game of the Year choices as well in the new year. So, again, keep an eye out for that.
And that's $1 a month. That's, it's a fortnightly, it's a weekly podcast, sorry. So that's,
It is.
It's like 25 pence or cents, 25 cents.
20p,
per podcast.
maybe.
20p perhaps, yeah. Bargain.
Pretty good. It's pretty good value. There's loads of other tiers available as well. Obviously, we've completely shaken up our Patreon output over the past few months. So there's loads of cool rewards and tiers. Go check them all out. One tier, you get access to the After Dark podcast, which is fortnightly, and we're going to record right after this one. So you might want to listen to that. There's another thing, though, isn't there, Peter?
There is. There's another thing that you can do to support us, and that is by going to TripleJump Facebook, which is facebook.com/Team TripleJump. If we get to 10,000 followers, we will pay James Jenkins. We will pay Ashton Matthews. We
I'd
will
love it.
not pay the mods. And that is a promise.
And Peter and I can get more caviar.
We can, yeah.
It's really hard, every day when I can't have lunch because I've not been paid this week because people haven't followed the Facebook page. And I look over and there's Ben and Peter eating their caviar on crackers.
Throwing it in the bin because there's too much.
Yeah, just
There's too
spitting
much of it. Yeah.
It's hard.
Throwing it to the birds.
Calling
It's a
my
hard life I
chauffeur to
live.
run it back to my third home and put it in the chest fridge.
Yeah, it's really hard. So if you could just follow the Facebook page, maybe one day in the distant future, I'll be able to afford my own caviar and I'll finally get to see what it's like living the dream.
Or at least a Tesco basic ham sandwich.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll take a basic ham sandwich, to be fair, as long as it's not got
Just
mayonnaise in it, because
Ugh.
gross.
Mayonnaise. What are
Blech.
you talking about?
Gross.
Hate it.
Yeah. So please follow the Facebook page. Thank you so much.
Please,
Stu.
thank you.
I've got a question here. It's from Paul McGee, who says, Alright, Bap, what is your take on Sony announcing the super splendid, colourful plates for the PS5? Is this giving people what they want, or a shameless cash grab for something that should really have been an option at launch? I personally think the black plates will be the biggest seller, as we were all expecting the PS5 to be a sleek black console, and now it messes up the feng shui in my game room. Love all the content as always. Pope McGee, X.
X.
Thank you, Paul.
Keys.
Thank you, Pope.
Thank you, Paul.
I think it would be a bit far to say that it is a shameless cash grab. I think I wouldn't necessarily have expected different coloured consoles to be an option at launch. It's nice when you do have that at launch. I think the Switch had a couple of options, didn't it, from the very beginning?
I think you could.
Citation
It was
needed.
red and blue, I think, but you could purchase other coloured Joy-Cons.
Oh yeah,
I believe.
so it wasn't an option to just choose. Well, yeah, okay, but
No,
even
I don't
so,
think so.
if there's the option to have a different color console at launch, I think that's just an extra benefit. Really, I would never expect that to be an option. So in that sense, I wouldn't call it a shameless cash grab to have. It's not like they've held back on that and decided, oh, we're going to release it later on and charge people extra. Like EA with The Sims, where they're like, we're not going to add pets until 3 months down the line. It's not that. And I also agree with Paul in the sleek black console that we all wanted is, that I think is maybe going to be the biggest selling point for some people. So for me, to answer the main question, I have never really been that bothered about what color my console is. I've never bought a special DualSense controller or anything like that. I've never really gone out of my way to get cosmetic upgrades for my console or my hardware. However, the one thing that I do find appealing is perhaps having a black console just to match everything else in the room. I think in that sense, that's quite appealing. But I'm not going to go buying a pink one or a blue one or a purple one. I don't think the color options are that great, to be honest. I see what they're going for. They've got this whole kind of
Isn't it Galaxy that they...
Yeah, it's like a space kind of vibe, isn't it? It's like
It's also
Aurora
the colours of the
Borealis.
bisexual flag, which a lot of people love.
Yeah, I saw that on
including
Twitter.
me.
Oh, I hadn't noticed that, but that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
The light blue one, I think, looks extremely cheap, personally. It
Yeah.
just
I think
looks
the
like
pink
something
one
you'd
does as
get
well.
from Wish.
Yeah.
I don't like
So,
it.
I won't be buying any of the coloured ones, but, I could maybe be tempted by the black one if I felt like it was worth spending that money on. I mean, at the moment, I'm not. I'm not gonna spend money just to make my console black. But I see a practical purpose for that one. Is what I'm saying. Yeah. Ashton, are you going to buy one of each so you can have the bisexual flag in your living room?
So
Well, then
cost effective.
I'd have to buy 3 PS5s.
That's what I mean. Yeah, you have to
So,
find
I mean,
them first.
That's true. We have 2 if I stole my boyfriend's, but I really like the red one, the reddy pink one that they brought out that matches the controller that they'd already
Yes,
brought
I have
out.
that controller. That is
Yeah.
a nice looking one.
I really wanted one of those controllers and really wanted. Well, now I've seen that, I kind of do really want the red one, but also I'm probably not going to bother purchasing it for a while. Maybe it's something that I'll ask my parents for my birthday when they're like, "What do you want?" And I'm like, "I have no idea. This thing, I guess." that's probably, I don't know it's only 50 quid, isn't it? So it depends if I'm drunk or not, and I see it and I buy it. It's probably the most realistic
So that's going to happen then. That sounds like confirmation.
Yeah, probably. It'll be like the 28th, and I'll be like a bottle of rosé down. And I'll be like, do you know what? I do want the red one, and I'll buy it. But I think the thing about this that is kind of the most dodgy by Sony is the fact that they've threatened to sue companies that have made black faceplates for just like externally outside of Sony. Right. There was the one D brand that's in Canada that was making black faceplates for the last couple months, because I've got an article from October that is basically them saying, F Sony, they tried to sue us, and they've had to take their like dark plates off sale because Sony said you can't make these, they're ours basically. They were 50 quid, the ones that they were selling, or $50. So I wonder if Sony were like, well, ours will be $50, and if you are selling yours for a bit cheaper, people are more likely to buy your black faceplate than they are our black faceplate. I know that some people really care about if it's official branding, and some people don't really care as long as it looks nice. But I think that's the only thing about it, is the fact that Sony threatened to sue a company that were making faceplates for people just so that they could kind of capitalize on the market a bit. I wonder if it's just because it was a black one and they know that the black one will sell really well, or if it's because I imagine there's some on Etsy that you can get that are like patterned, or you could probably get some that are like hand designed and stuff, I think, on Etsy, which are probably more expensive, and if you're going to get that, you're probably more likely to just kind of pay for it. But I think because it was a black faceplate that they were selling, I think that Sony were like, well, we're going to do that, and we want ours to sell more, so you can't sell the black one anymore. But I do wonder if they'll just say no one's allowed to sell faceplates, and then we're, stuck with the bright pink, bright blue ones. But it depends. I think there'll be someone's cup of tea, and I like you said, I do think the black ones will sell the most, because that was everyone's main complaint, wasn't it, that it was white. They didn't want a white one. I think it's a good alternative to just selling a whole different console.
That's true.
They could have just said the only way you're going to get a black one is if you buy a new PS5 in black. That's the only way you're going to get it. So it's cheaper than having to buy a brand new console if you wanted a black one. So on that respect, it's pretty good. but yeah, that's why. I mean, you've got a unofficial black faceplate, haven't you, Ben?
I do. Can we stop saying it in that order, because it sounds so dodgy to begin with.
Black faceplate.
Black faceplate. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
every time it's been said, I say,
sorry.
No, I don't have that, but I do have a faceplate that is black. And yes, well, as soon as they showed off in that first breakdown video that you could take the plates off, the possibilities were limitless, right? People could make their own. People could take them off and customize them. A friend of mine took his plates off and like spray painted them and stuff, and like put a cool pattern on them.
I was going to say, you could just do that, couldn't you? Yeah,
you very much could. And yeah, you're right, Ashton. I think sort of warring with third parties wasn't a great look, to be honest. And I'm very surprised that it took them this long to start releasing this stuff, especially considering that they released the black controller, and I think it's cosmic red is what they call that sort of pinky red color,
and the blue one.
Last, as in the controllers. They've released the controllers before. That was like earlier this year.
Wasn't there a midnight blue or a midnight black and a red one?
Black and a red one. Not a blue one. I still can't believe they haven't done like a dark blue one, to be honest. But considering they released those controllers a while ago, it feels like maybe the faceplate should have come shortly after, perhaps. It's taken them a long time. I'm glad that the option is there. I don't know that it's a cash grab, but I do think that it's too expensive. They're like 55 quid, I think.
It can't cost
I saw
that much to produce them.
It really doesn't, because I bought my This was part of my issue when there was this warring thing going on, especially, was it D-Brand? Was that what it was called?
D-Brand, that was the one, yeah.
They were making such a fuss about it publicly. And, they're well within their rights because it's, they're a company and they need to make money and stuff. And Sony were trying to hamstring them. But they were clearly trying to capitalize on, the public backlash that nobody wants a white PS5. That they were like, oh, I can't believe Sony's targeting me again, guys. And it was just this ongoing thing that was such a headache for me as someone who went on Etsy immediately and bought a pair of third-party faceplates. Just didn't want to see anymore. Because anyone who wants these can just buy them and has been able to buy them through independent sellers on Etsy from the very beginning. It didn't take me long to customize mine, and it cost me £34. The only thing that's different and that I may in time come to regret, but this is a real cosmetic thing, is that it doesn't have the PlayStation logo stencil on one of the sides like the official ones do. But that's it. They're functionally identical.
Yeah. Well, you can get wraps for your vinyl wraps for your PS5 plates on Etsy for 20 quid. There's even one, oh my god, why would you ever do that? There's one where it's you can add your own photo to your PS5 vinyl.
Oh no.
And it's got a stock image of a couple in love on a PS5.
Beautiful.
And it says next to it says gifts ideas for boyfriends.
oh, that's nice. That's
the kind of thing your mum would send you.
Yeah.
It's gets advertised to her on Facebook and she's like,
imagine. And she comes over and you have to put it on out of guilt and you have to deface your PlayStation
every time
with this
she's coming over, you have to quickly dust off the family
blurry,
photo
blown up family photo where someone's slightly cropped off the side and it's stretched wrong.
It's also this on the same thing. It's also for the controller, so you could, but the controller they've kind of stretched the picture over the face of the controller. It looks ridiculous. But yeah, you can get them for 20 quid.
I'm glad that it's an option. I do think if people want one, they can get one right now for cheaper. And you can find them very easily on Etsy. You just search PS5 and that's it. It's dead simple. I'm glad it's an option, but it should have been done sooner. It could have been handled a lot better, and it should be cheaper. But it's there. And they're doing lots of different colours. And you're right, Ashton. They're not selling us a brand new console each time. If they did, that would really be taking the piss, because the plates come off. They would still find a way, though. I wouldn't be surprised.
They would.
Yeah.
It's like how the Switch sold the Animal Crossing Switch that had the back of it was patterned with Animal Crossing kind of logos and stuff. But that was the only difference was the fact that they'd put a decal over most of the console, and they just resold the Switch as a whole. You couldn't just get I think you could eventually just get the Joy-Cons, but you couldn't get just Animal Crossing Joy-Cons externally from the actual console itself for a while, until after I think they did eventually, but it was a while afterwards.
Yeah, so it happens quite a lot. Xbox and PlayStation have done it. Xbox have had various Halo versions, and PlayStation, PS4 had loads of different editions. They had Star Wars and Spider-Man and Final Fantasy, all sorts. And I would love the option to buy some of those controllers separately.
Yeah.
But there we are. Well, it's time for something, isn't it, Ashton?
Yeah, we've never done this before. It's a special because we're doing it from home. We thought mix it up, try something new. It's time to talk about what we play in.
Oh. It's what we play in time. Time to talk about what we are playing. Peter Austin, what have you been playing?
I have almost finished Grand Theft Auto 3. I can't believe how long it's taken me. I mean, I've not been playing it hours and hours every night, back to back kind of thing. But I've, basically it's all I've really been playing for the past couple of weeks. And I don't always sit down every night and play games, but it's kind of taken me a little while. There's more things to do in that game than I remember. And it's nothing. It's not like super exciting side quests, or there's not even that many interesting collectibles. But there's just a few little extra bits and bobs that you can do that kind of keep you entertained. You can there's those bonus vehicular based missions you can do where you can, if you jump into a police car or an ambulance or a fire engine, you can activate, like you drive around and like try and catch criminals or take people to the hospital or put out fires and stuff. So that's always there if you feel like you want a break from gang crime. And then there's also, I totally forgot about this, but in the docks on the first island, there's this garage that outside has this huge list of vehicles stuck to it, just like pinned to the wall, and you have to bring like one of every vehicle to this garage and slowly cross them off the list. And then once you've done that, you can go back to that garage at any time and you can spawn in any one of them. And the last one that you take there is the rubbish dodo plane that doesn't really fly in that game. So I don't know how familiar you guys are with GTA 3, but when you get to the third island, there's an airport and you can't jump in any jets or helicopters in that game. It's like predates all of that. It was Vice City onwards where I think you could fly helicopters, but there's this one little like rubbish kind of Indiana Jones propeller plane that, and it's like its wings are like too short. It looks really stupid, and it will only fly if you're going a certain speed, and you can only gain speed when you're on the ground, like revving the engine. So basically, you drive along a runway, which gets you enough speed to get it into the air, but then once you're in the air, you start to just lose speed immediately, and eventually you'll just run out of lift. And if you're really good with it, and it takes a lot of practice, you have to like gain altitude while you've got speed, and then when you run out of speed, you like nose down and like plummet towards the earth, and then that allows you to gain more speed, and then you can pull up at the last minute before you like crash into the sea. So it's fun to do, even though it just doesn't work at all. And that's the last vehicle you have to get to this dock. So now I'm able to spawn in a plane from this garage whenever I want, which is
nice.
Yeah, it's been
nice,
moderately entertaining. And there've been, the bugs that have been almost keeping me going back, to be honest. I just can't really get enough of them. It's not broken to the point that it's unplayable. It's just stupidly entertaining. Every single time I play, something happens. So, nearly finished with that. And I actually played a little bit of Crash 4 this week. I saw someone had posted one of the music tracks on Twitter, someone I follow, and I was just listening to it thinking, man, this game, it has such a good soundtrack. And it just made me think, it's been a while. Like, I've not played that game since it originally released, and I, played it kind of from start to finish. I never 100%ed it, and I never will, because those time trials are just not fun enough to warrant grinding through. But I just thought, I'd go back and just play through the levels and re-experience it again. So I've been doing a little bit of that this week. I don't think I'll necessarily go all the way through, but I just thought, not played that since it came out. So just a little bit of Crash 4 too.
Lovely.
Ashton.
Thanks so much, Peter. It's so nice to hear what you've been playing on this brand new segment. Yeah. So me and MB have been hanging out this week. He's currently in Newcastle, and he bought Hyrule Warriors with him for the Switch. So we had a go at that in the co-op mode, because you can do the story in co-op. And I have to be honest, I didn't have a single clue what was going on the whole time. I was trying to follow the map, and it was basically like, if something's pulsating, that's where you have to go on the map. But at certain points, like everywhere was just like flashing, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't understand what's happening. I'm just spamming the like punch button and the jump button and hoping for the best. I mean, it was fun, but I didn't have a single clue what was going on the whole time. But just smashing through waves of enemies is like, 50, 100 enemies just like surrounding you, and just being able to just take them all out in a matter of seconds is quite satisfying, I have to be honest. But yeah, I did not have a clue what was going on. I've also played this week some Deathloop, and I have to be honest, I love it. I've really enjoyed it. I played it over the weekend on MB's PS5, and he was kind of watching me play it because he was like, I want you to try this and see what it's like. And I managed to find like 3 or 4 different things in my first couple run-throughs that he'd never seen before, that he hadn't found in his kind of run-throughs as well. So I felt proper smug because I was like, I am so pro at this game. I'm finding all of the secrets. I managed to find like 2 orange guns on my first couple like run-throughs, which are really good, obviously. Nice. And again, felt really, really proud of myself. And I think it's really clever. I've really enjoyed it. I know that I kind of preemptively know that the end is maybe a bit disappointing, but from what I've played so far, I've really enjoyed it. And it's been fun to kind of piece together the order of what I need to do things in. Like, I know I need to go to a certain area because it's the only time I can kill a certain person thus far, that I kind of hadn't even thought about until I realised that was the only time I could go and get her. And I've really enjoyed it. I think it's really clever and I love the mechanics of it. And I thought I wouldn't like it because I don't really like having to redo things over and over again. But I've always found something different and I've always kind of explored and found something else. I've managed to kill people purely by accident. I think I killed one of the visionaries.
Like in House of Ashes.
Whoops.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, just my violent streak has come in handy in this game. I just kind of shot someone and they were like, visionary killed. And I was like, huh? What do you mean? How did who? I don't even...
You're like,
okay,
if Mr.
cool.
Bean was an assassin.
Yeah, basically, just the most accidental assassin you've ever encountered. But I've been really enjoying it, and I'm really excited to play some more over the weekend. And I'm gonna finish it. I'm determined. I'm like, hello boyfriend, hello cats. Please don't talk to me. I've got to play Deathloop. I think it's such a good game, and it's all I've been thinking about all week, and it's hard because I haven't been able to play it since I came back to Newcastle. So I'm excited to play some more Deathloop.
Nice.
What about you, Ben? What have you been playing?
Yeah.
Well, I just got the platinum in Deathloop over the weekend. Yeah. So I've finally done it all. I've finished it, and it took bloody ages. It was a real... Some of those last few trophies were you do have to follow a guide for this. Like, there's no way you're going to accidentally do this. And by the way, if you mess even one small aspect up, you're going to have to do it all over again. Sucks for you. So there was a lot of trial and error. Sometimes I know there have been a lot of problems with trophies that are bugged, and there was one in particular that just simply was not working for me. I followed several different approaches to doing it. It was basically taking out one of the visionaries in a very specific way.
Right.
And seemingly there's a lot of different ways you could do it. None of them were working for me. I started a new game after I spent like 3 hours trying to do it and getting more and more cross because every time I messed it up I had to quit out, come back in, and then run through the entire level to get to the visionary, which is super time consuming. And I ended up shelving it, doing all the other trophies, and then coming back to that one last, and started a new game after it still didn't work, and ran through the game up until the point where you have the ability to go to that visionary, which was maybe like an hour and a half. Still didn't work. So clearly there was just something wrong with the version that I had installed, or like maybe the latest patch had bugged it up,
right,
but
yeah.
There were lots of people online saying they had the same problem. So I deleted the game, put the disc back in, and then paused the patch. So I was playing it without a day one patch. And let me tell you, there's a lot that's been polished since it launched. A lot of weird things. The main menu logo is different. Sort of, there's basic, rare, very, very nice, and legendary. That's sort of how I would categorize the sort of rating system of things in that game. And the trinkets that you can attach to your character and weapons, they only come in 3 flavors, which is basic, grey, rare, blue, and sort of purpley, pinky color, which is the best one. The blue ones, as I discovered, used to be green, because they're green in the unpatched version. I thought that was an interesting little thing there. But basically, I got to that boss, had to run through the start of the game again, and it worked. I got the trophy. And so clearly there was just something wrong with the version I was playing. So that's done. Deathloop platinumed. Like Ashton, I really, really enjoyed this game. I was very surprised by how much I enjoyed it, but as I said before, it took me a while to get there. I didn't like it to begin with, but it really, really grew on me. And now it's done forever, which is sad. So there we are. I've also been playing some Far Cry 6 still in co-op, having some fun with the bugs still, which is nice. Sliding around on the floor, no running animation, which is great. And I also set up and started my Series S for the first time.
Oh,
excellent, which is very exciting. So I put the AA batteries into my controller, and I thought, what year is this? Why am I putting physical batteries into this controller? And I downloaded the Master Chief Collection and Halo Infinite. I saw you
tweet that you were wondering whether to play.
Where do I start? Do I start or do I just go straight for Infinite? I don't know. Everyone seems to be saying play some of them and then watch a lore recap video and then play Infinite. So that's my Christmas break goal. But I also downloaded Psychonauts 1 and 2. So we'll see how far through I get, because there's a lot of games to play there, and I haven't actually played anything on it yet, but it's set up and it's ready to go. So that will be my next mission, I think. And that's all I played.
Excellent.
Beautiful. I have a question.
Okay.
This one comes from Michael Milan. It says, "Greetings, Baptacular comrades. When I was younger, I would play the same games on loop or look for long-lasting experiences. Now, I thrive for variety in gaming and so look for shorter experiences. A strong 7 to 15-hour story is really the sweet spot for me. And when a game goes past the 25-hour mark, I find myself losing interest. Sure, there's the occasional Breath of the Wild or Persona 5 exception, but generally speaking, that's the rule. This brings me to my question, or questions. What's your ideal game length? And has that opinion changed over time? And do you have any exceptions?"
Well, thank you for the question. I think it's a bit hard to say, really. I think maybe, for me, something like the 10 to 20 hour mark is the kind of the sweet spot for me. But really, as much as anything, I think it comes down to, for me, it's more of a question of like linear versus open. I just find if a game is too open and there's too much for me to do, then that's what will put me off, as opposed to a linear game that has direction, or even an open linear game, that's going to just sort of guide me. Even if that linear game, that hypothetical linear game is, if it was like 30 hours long, I would feel like at least, I know, which is unlikely, but just for argument's sake, if it was like a 30-hour linear game, I would at least feel like, well, I know that I'm going the right way, I'm doing the right thing here, as opposed to, sometimes if a game is very open-ended, you don't even necessarily know exactly what is and isn't contributing towards the end goal, and you feel like you might be wasting your time, like, grinding in a certain way or exploring areas that you don't need to explore and so on. And that's something that I think has changed for me not very recently, maybe over the past like year or two, where I used to be really a huge fan of open world sandbox games that give you a lot of freedom, give you a lot of map to explore, and allow you to create your own character as well. Like I used to be a big fan of RPGs generally. Now I'm not like completely against that entire thing. I'm still looking forward to the next Elder Scrolls when it eventually comes out. I'll get it on PC, or if I've got a Series S by then, I'll get it on Xbox. But generally, I'm now I just like being directed, and I think that is partly down to just the time constraints I've got in my evenings and weekends. I've got way less time. I think I mean fewer, Ben. Do I mean fewer?
You mean lessened?
Lessened time on my weekends and in my evenings to play video games, and so I like to know that the game that I'm playing, I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get to the end in a reasonable amount of time and be able to feel that satisfaction. Whereas if something's too long, too open, I've talked before again as well about how if it's been too long since I've played a session of a game, I can very easily drop off, even though really if I actually just put in the effort of sitting down, booting it up and getting back into it, it wouldn't take me long to remember where I was, remember the controls, remember the tactics and stuff. But there's a little bit of me in my head that if it's been more than even just like a week or so since I've played a game that's got any kind of big scale to it, I find it really difficult to sit down and start playing it again. So I think it really does help just to have a very focused experience for me at the moment. But as I say, there are exceptions like Elder Scrolls and other games too. Spider-Man, that's certainly it's not a huge world, but it certainly gives you a lot of freedom to do lots of different things. So certainly there are exceptions, but. I'm more of a linear versus open kind of guy rather than a duration kind of guy. Ashton.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about Spider-Man as well, being, I think, one of the most recent, like, first playthroughs of a game where I've kind of played it all and done everything and found everything. But I think I do tend to, flip-flop a bit between whether I want a short linear game or whether I want to spend 2 weeks playing Far Cry 6 and doing everything I want in Far Cry 6 for the entire 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. I think it depends kind of, I don't know if it's like how I'm feeling, but I think I tend to go for like a big game and then I will want a couple of smaller games or shorter games to kind of jump between rather than just sit and play one game for a really long time. I think more so, like you say, more so now than I think I have previously with this job, having kind of more games to play and kind of being more kind of proactive with the games that I play now. I think I'm less likely to pick up a game that I know is really, really long. And I also think when someone tells me a game is a certain length, if it's kind of longer than 20 hours, like you were saying, I think it puts me off. I'm like, I don't really want to play that then. I don't, I see people like, oh, the game's like 75 hours long. I think we were talking about Assassin's Creed Valhalla a little while ago in the office, and someone said, oh yeah, it's about a 75-hour long game. And I was like, well, gross. I don't want to play that. That's too long.
Mm-hmm.
It just put me off.
I recorded a voiceover yesterday for that was about really long games, and one of them was like 400 hours long to do everything, and I was like, no, thank you. I think that that's the thing. I think that sounds like such a long period of time to finish a game, and I just don't have the patience for it. I bounced on and off of Assassin's Creed Valhalla because there was so much. Every time I was like, oh good, I've done an area, I've zoomed back out on the map and there's still like an insane amount of map left. I think the same with like Origins was, oh well, I've done this area, great, and I was like almost finishing the game and there was 2 huge areas in the middle of the map that I just hadn't even needed to go to throughout the game. And I was like, well, I don't want to leave. What if there's something in there that's important, like a side mission? What if there's a bit of story that I'm missing? I'll have to go and explore this whole area in the middle of the desert because the game hasn't taken me there. But I think that big open world maps now seem a lot more kind of daunting and a lot more off-putting than I think they used to. Though, like I say, Far Cry 6 is a decent sized map, it's pretty big, and it didn't put me off. I decided that was the game that I wanted to play because I was enjoying it. But I think if something else had come out during me playing Far Cry 6 that I really wanted to play, I wouldn't have picked it back up. I think I probably would have bounced off it. But I do tend to go towards a shorter game. But again, it's just like putting it in numbers always seems like such a difficult kind of thing to do. And also when people put it in numbers, I think it sounds so much worse than it is. Like playing a game for 7 hours isn't that hard. No.
The hearing a game is 7 hours long feels like a lot of time to play a game, so I think it depends on the game and it depends on my mood and how I'm feeling. But I do tend to kind of play a bit of both. There isn't any specific exceptions I can think of. Normally, again, it's just depends how I'm feeling. Depends how the mood takes me,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's definitely quality dependent, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Like if a good game that's, well, it depends if you like short games, for example, but if you find a good one that's like 30 hours long, then that might keep you just as entertained. Or if you're a fan of really long games, but there's a really good like short package, like a 5-hour game, you're not going to say no to that if it's something that you're actively enjoying as you're playing it. So
yeah, I think one of the things about Far Cry 6 that kept me going was that it was quite jam-packed full of stuff. I think the map was big, but you would struggle to go a couple of minutes down the road without kind of finding something or having to collect something. Whereas sometimes I think they're just like, the map is huge because you have to walk for 20 minutes before you actually find anything. So that's fun, isn't it? And I'm like, no, that's not fun.
It's not fun at
I
all.
want something to happen, 2 minutes time. I've got a short attention span. I can't be walking for 20 minutes. But yeah, I think it depends on the game. Ben, what about you?
I remember when every game was like 5 to at most 15 hours long. Not every game, but you know what I mean. Like the vast majority of games, we're talking sort of 15 years ago, slightly longer. Slightly longer ago, it was every game was around that length. And as soon as home consoles, because I've never been a PC player, but as soon as home consoles started to get more powerful, they could start making these bigger experiences, and things got bigger and bigger and bigger. And at the time, it was really exciting. Like, yeah, give me Oblivion, give me Fallout 3. I want to get lost in these worlds. You're telling me that Far Cry 3's map is 10 bajillion square kilometers? Hell yeah, let's get in there. Let's have fun and play in this world. For the longer a game was, almost the more exciting it was for me. And that slowly dwindled over the years as I've had less time to play games, and as a lot of these games have started to become kind of samey and not really done much to iterate. But even though there are some spectacular, really, really long games, they really have to do a lot to sell me on them. If I'm going to play those games now, they have to be sort of a big must-play RPG or a narrative adventure. I do find myself more attracted to the shorter stuff as time goes by, but I am still tempted by the longer stuff if it really is worth playing. Like a can't miss experience. If you give me a game and say you can play this and finish it in one sitting, I'm there. I'm going to do it. This is a fully fledged experience from start to finish, and it's 2 hours long, 3 hours long. Hell yeah, give that to me. Yeah. I'll play that. That sounds awesome. But there's also this attitude, I think, from a lot of people where they judge a game's value based on its length, which isn't really right. I mean, statistically, mathematically, yes, you do get more bang for your buck, but I don't think games should be judged that way. Just because you're paying £60 for Far Cry or £50 for Far Cry 6 doesn't mean you can't also pay £50 for a significantly shorter game that is just, that's really good. I don't know. I'm trying to put it into words, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Like it's
It's like the thing with the first Spider-Man and then Miles Morales being similar prices, and people said, well, Miles Morales is half the length, so why would I pay the same price? But I think it was short. Well, I'm glad
I think it was cheaper too, wasn't it, Miles Morales?
Yeah, it was a bit cheaper, yeah. But they were like, I was like, I'm glad it's shorter.
Yeah.
Because, it doesn't need to be 20 hours long. It can be its own little self-contained 10, 12-hour long game or something.
I was very glad it was shorter because I'd only just finished the first Marvel Spider-Man. Like, I'd played that. I'd finally just completed that, and in preparation for Miles Morales, and I thought, man, if the second one had been, if Miles Morales had just been a second Marvel Spider-Man in length, it would have been probably too much for me. But it was nice just to have a slightly more, it was like the best of. You got the best of the first game, the original, the Marvel Spider-Man, without unnecessary bloat. And I'm not saying the original was like too big, but sometimes you just want to experience all the more of the same, but just the good stuff kind of thing again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of like publishers and stuff, and right now are thinking the bigger our game is, the better it is. Therefore, keep making it bigger. We can charge more money for it, and therefore, it will be better. But like you're saying, a lot of us don't want those huge games anymore.
It's also the longer you can keep players engaged. And if you've got some sort of digital marketplace, the longer you can tempt them into buying things as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I prefer shorter games, but I will definitely, and have and do play longer games as and when the mood strikes me, but I'm just less inclined to because they're often quite bloated.
Does the idea of Elden Ring being more open world, does that kind of hit in the middle for you, or is that kind of something where it's like, is it going to be longer and more bloated than other Souls-esque
potentially
games?
I mean, that's the thing, I don't know for sure without playing the full thing. I maintain that this is the next logical step for even just Dark Souls. The next place to take it would be open world, even though I would gladly play a game constructed as the first three were forever. I don't think they needed to iterate, but if they were, this is how they would do it. It very much falls into that category of, if someone told me this game was 60 hours, I would say, oh man, okay. But if someone told me it's 60 hours, but it's made by From Software and it's basically open world Dark Souls, then it ticks the box of, okay, now I'm willing to try this. Now I'm willing to give this a go, for sure.
Fair.
Yeah. There we are.
Very good.
It's time to move on to something a little strange.
It is.
A little peculiar.
Yes.
It's called Weird News.
I have paper. I don't know if you do. I'm rattling it.
I do also.
It's weird news time. Time for some weird video game news. Peter, what strange gaming news do you have?
Hold on, I'm
just
second
in.
there, Potter.
Weird news just in. The podcast producers have not been read.
Help! It's there. I see it. Sorry, we're going long, and I'm just forging ahead without them. Sorry, podcast producers. Did you know that if you go to patreon.com/Team TripleJump, you can support us at a certain tier and become one of our wonderful podcast producers, and you get a shout out.
And be routinely forgotten by Ben Potter.
Yeah, intentionally, and you get a shout out at the Weird News time. Ashton, do you want to start us off?
This week's Weird News is sponsored by Checkered Omega,
Sean Legg,
Trick24,
Evan Breidenbach,
GY Goliath,
Ellie Nicholas,
Hutcher 10,
Melody
Melody L. Bonnet,
Harrison Calnan,
Dylan,
Gabrielle Philippink,
and Katie Jarrett.
Amazing job.
Thank you very much.
Patrons. Thank you.
Now, it's time for Weird News.
Weird news. I've got a weird news here. This was submitted by one of you listeners. Don't forget, you can head to either facebook.com/Team TripleJump, where you can follow the page, by the way, please, or twitter.com/Team TripleJump. And there will be social media posts on there before each podcast recording where you can submit weird news of the week, and we might read yours. This one is from Joach Dix. I'm not sure if I'm saying that first name right, but thank you very much. It is according to 9gag.com.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Gamer gets banned for 8,000 years for Kim Jong Un KFC car design.
What?
The author is listed just as 9gag. It says by 9gag. And it's approximately a 1-minute read. We'll see about that. A Forza Horizon 5 player was given an 8,000-year ban because his design in question features Kim Jong Un alongside the KFC logo with a Send Nukes hashtag and the New Balance logo, which now reads Nuke Balance. There is then a screenshot of it, which I'll send to you guys in a moment. In fact, I should send it to you now while I'm reading it. Copy link. Discord. Just walking you guys through the process of how I'm sending this.
Yeah. Thank you.
Go to the correct conversation where we're all talking right now. There it is. then go into the chat and press paste and send, and then you guys can go and look at that.
Oh, wow.
There's also then a screenshot of a tweet underneath that says, the creator of this decal got banned for 8,000 years in Forza. I will keep it on my drag-tuned Isetta forever in his name. So here we go. According to the Reddit post, I want to add that Playground Games has nothing to do with this ban, as they do not enforce the game in any way. This ban was issued by the enforcement team at Turn 10 Studios. He continued, I've seen other websites covering this story. I read one saying that my friend may have a history of making these types of liveries while they interviewed a Turn 10 Studios employee. This is not true. I've known him for the better part of over a year, and this is the one and only time he has ever made a livery like this one. Am I saying that right? I'm not aware.
I want to say that you are, but I don't know.
I only know that in the context of you can keep horses in a livery, and I think it's pronounced like that. But I think that's the end of the article. Actually, it was really a 1-minute read.
That's very short.
Gag. Excellent journalistic quality there. It's just a Reddit quote, pretty much. But yeah, okay. So a guy made a KFC Kim Jong Un send nukes decal for his car. Got banned from Forza Horizon 5 for 8,000 years. You can find the link to the article in the description of the podcast if you want to have a look at it, or just Google it or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I love that it's 8,000 years as well. Like that's such a long time. If he lives
8,001 years and the servers are still going, they will have to unban him.
Yeah. He'll be sorted. He'll be sorted.
Someone's commented on this post being like, feel the hatred of 8,000 years.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Wow.
Ashton, have you got some weird news?
I do. This news has been all over the internet this week, so you've probably already seen it. But it was submitted on Twitter by ashug and Cameron_Keyword, and also on Facebook by Cameron Keyword as well. It was sent to me by Jules, aka Kaplunk Chick, on Twitter, and also by my boyfriend. He sent me it on WhatsApp. He said, you should use this. And it is, of course, from Kotaku, because of course it is, by Zach Zweisen. And it is, Keanu Reeves is super excited you all tried to mod Cyberpunk 2077 to flip him. And by flip him, I don't mean the flip word, but you can figure that one out for yourself.
Hokey pokey.
The Matrix actor has some wild ideas about virtual sex that his co-star Carrie-Anne Moss ain't into. Last year, when Cyberpunk 2077 came out, between all the bugs and problems players encountered, a group of modders decided to try and tinker with the game to let you F one of its main stars, Keanu Reeves. The famous actor plays Cyberpunk's digital rebel cyber ghost, Johnny Silverhand, and while the mod did materialise, the game's devs had it removed from the popular modding site because they weren't comfortable letting Keanu's model be used in something so explicit that he didn't agree to. Well, it turns out, the dude is down with the flipping. In an interview with The Verge for The Matrix Resurrections and the recently released Matrix/Unreal Engine 5 demo, Keanu Reeves admitted that he hadn't yet played Cyberpunk 2077, having only seen some folks play it for him. However, he still got very excited about the prospect of people modding Cyberpunk 2077 to have sex with his character. We're talking very excited, even fist pumping and cheering when told that his was the most popular request for players looking to bang in-game NPCs. However, when the interviewer explained that dev CD Projekt Red had banned the mod because they were not sure it had this permission to do this, Reeves reacted with genuine sadness, even letting out a long "aww," like a kid seeing a box of candy that was just out of reach. Oh. When asked how he felt about all this, about players wanting to F him in the game, Reeves was pretty positive about it all. "Oh my god, it's always nice when it's nice and, said Reeves. However, his Matrix co-star Carrie-Anne Moss made sure to interject at that moment to let folks in dark corners of the internet know that she's very much not down with any kind of virtual effing. I, on the other hand, say, "No thank you," said Moss. "No thank you, Keanu's fine with it." At this point, Reeves interrupted his co-star and proceeded to explain how there is a lot of money in porn and how VR and the metaverse could be part of some grand plan to let you F his digital celeb avatar. And then he says, so you could not even have to be there. People could have digital sex with your digital avatar when it's, what's it called right now? For members only? I think he's talking about OnlyFans. You could do a whole thing. Explaining Reeves gushing in a way that makes it seem like he's been thinking about it for quite some time. Oh my god, then you get the suit that's probably made in Sweden or some German thing. Oh my god, then you've got the VR thing, then they've got data on you like arousal metrics. It's around this point that Carrie-Anne Moss gave her thoughts on what she was hearing, adding, I hope that I do not live to see this. But Reeves isn't done. Not even close. He continued even
Keanu,
while at this point both
read the room. Read the actual room that you are in. She's not comfortable with this conversation.
I know. He continued even while at this point both the interviewer and his co-star seemed confused and worried about him. So then you're in this suit with arousal metrics through your members only, Metaverse X. So then you take everything off, and how do you feel about the relationship you're in? Great, deadpanned Moss. Reeves finished by answering his rhetorical, but then you hold that real thing and you're like, oh man, I'm so glad we have reality. I'm pretty happy we have reality too, considering that I get to watch a new Matrix film in 2 weeks and listen to Keanu Reeves rave endlessly about virtual sex via VR and the metaverse. And that is it.
Wow.
That is, yeah.
He's into
It's quite something. Have you watched the interview?
No,
that he does?
But I read that.
I mean, it's exactly as it's described. Like, it's basically identical to how it is written down, to be honest.
He loves it.
He loves it.
Absolutely loves it.
I deliberately didn't click on that article this week because I knew it would come to weird news. So I only knew the headline. But that's a lot more than I probably wanted from that story.
Yeah, I think it's more than we all wanted, including Carrie-Anne Moss, who seemed to just want to be anywhere but there during that interview, I have to be honest.
Oh dear. I've got some weird news.
Oh yeah?
It's from Nintendo Life and written by Damien McFerrin, and it is at the time of recording it's just been published. Random. Usain Bolt says Mario Kart helped him become an Olympic champ.
Of course it did.
Olympic sprint champ Usain Bolt got to the pinnacle of his profession through hard work, perseverance, and innate natural talent, but he has admitted that video games also played a part in his drive for success. Speaking to BBC gaming reporter Stefan Powell, Bolt, who is an 8-time Olympic gold medalist and the only sprinter to win 100 metres and 200 metres titles at 3 consecutive Olympics, discussed how he would sometimes miss training in order to indulge his passion for video gaming. This is a quote. For me, those are the things that excite me about video games, just learning and being the best at it. I feel like it kind of helped my hunger, I would say, to always want to win, but I feel like it, in a way, kind of helped out with track and field, because now, when you get on the track, you have that same mentality as when you're playing video games. You just want to win. Powell then jokingly suggests that Bolt's success was down to his time in Mario Kart, to which the champ replied, "It helped. It helped." He also added that if he had started his career today, he might think twice about athletics and become an esports pro instead. There you are. Wow. So it's not really about Mario Kart at all.
Good for him.
He just reading the article, Stefan Powell just said, "So, did your success come to Mario Kart? Did it help?" And Bolt just said, "It helped. It helped." That's it. Like, well, that's it then. Mario Kart helped him become a champion. That's what that means.
We've got the headline. It's done
real.
It.
That happened. But yeah, apparently a big gamer. Didn't know that.
No. He would be a big gamer even if he, didn't play a lot of games because he is a big lad.
He's a big boy, yeah.
Yeah.
Big, large lad.
Big, large lad.
Let's move on
would
to...
win in a race? Mario in a kart or Usain Bolt running?
I don't know.
Well, if it was Sonic in a kart, obviously it'd be Sonic. But...
Yeah.
Obviously.
If it's Mario, I'm just not sure.
Okay, well, there's only one way to find out.
Yeah.
Someone arrange that, please.
Yeah.
So it's time, I believe, to move on to question 3. If I just rifle through my papers here. This is from Rock Reese, who says, "Hi again. It's all about togetherness and family around the time of Mr. Chris T. Mass. In spirit of that, I considered getting some Switch family games for the holidays, but I feel it could go disastrously wrong. Have any of you ever tried playing games with family members and had it just not go well? Let's see if this question causes as much chaos as the last one. You can blame it on my anecdotal questioning." Thank you, Rock Reese.
Thank you, Rock Reese.
I think I'm fortunate in that I don't think I've ever had it go badly playing games with family members. Certainly not in a kind of party game setting. I do have one memory of playing my PS1 and my dad walked past and he recognized that the game was set in London and he was like, he's like, "I know that road." It was the bridge next to the Houses of Parliament. I don't know which one that is, but the one that has Big Ben right next to it. Is that London Bridge?
Yeah.
Might be. I don't know. But I was just driving along there and Big Ben was there and he was like, "Oh, I know that road." And he was sort of suddenly, his interest was piqued. And I guess he'd never really considered that there might be virtual representations of real things in video games. It's not just about, chopping people's heads off or being a purple dragon. Now, this is the PS1 we're talking here. And he sat down and wanted to have a go of this game. Now, unfortunately, the game in question, Ben Potter, it was a racing game set in London on the PS1.
Oh, no.
It was London Racer 1, I'm sorry to say.
I remember this. You told me this when we did the Worst Games episode.
Yeah, probably did. It doesn't surprise me, yeah. So he was like, "Oh, I know that road." And at the time, I didn't realize just how bad the game was as a child. I don't think I really appreciated that it was as terrible as it is. So he sat down and wanted to play it. When it came to picking a vehicle, there were only two options or two locations or something, and he wanted to try the other ones. And he was like, "Oh, how do we do that?" And I was like, "Oh, we've not unlocked them yet." And he said, "Oh, how do you unlock them?" And I was like, "Oh, we have to play a lot more of the game." And he was like, "Oh, okay." And he sounded a bit disappointed. He was a bit sad. So then he sat down and drove a Mini through London Racer, and I don't think really enjoyed it very much. And then I don't think ever really played a video game again.
Oh no,
he's just not a fan. Not because of that necessarily, but that might have been an opportunity to actually win him round, But no. So, but in a party setting, playing the Wii or playing PlayLink games or anything like that, it's always gone pretty well. If you choose the right game, one that's going to appeal to a range of ages and interests, namely Wii games and PlayLink games are the ones to go for there, then you're probably going to be all right. I probably wouldn't play, Hidden Agenda with my grandma and my mum, but I would maybe play Knowledge is Power with them, So
funny you should say that.
It's gone all right with me. Okay, well, we'll get to that in a moment. Ashton?
I've played Jackbox with my family quite a lot.
Yeah.
My mum refuses to play Quiplash. She won't play it. She's like, "I can't play it. I'm not funny enough. I don't want to play it. I'm not playing it." So we have to pick other games that she'll play, like the trivia one or a drawing one she'll play. But if it's something where she has to think about something and be creative, she doesn't want to play it. So we have to skirt around those games during playing Jackbox. But there was one occasion that I remembered from a couple of years ago now, playing Jackbox with my immediate family and a couple of cousins and aunties and uncles, and my grandparents were there. And my mum was like, "Oh, get the game out, the one that you play on your phones." "Okay, we'll play Jackbox, Mum, that's fine." And put it on, and I was like, "We're going to play Quiplash," because that was the one that my dad wanted to play. So I think all of the adults that were playing were kind of like, "Okay, we'll be, mature because your cousin is 9 years old. So we won't put anything that's too bad because she is playing the game." And there was, I think, we filled up the game. There was a couple people in the audience. So we didn't really know who was playing until we got to the point where the quips were coming up. And there was a couple of normal ones, jokes without being too explicit. And there was one answer that came up that was really, really explicit. and like inappropriate. And we were all looking around like, oh my God, who's put that in? Who's done this? Because like she's like 9, like this is not appropriate. I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't like awful, but it was kind of like a step above what we'd all been doing. And then it flipped over and like revealed who it was, and it was my 9-year-old cousin that had put it in. And I looked over to her mum and dad, and they were like, oh my God, who told you that? Why have you done this? What's happening? And she was like, I don't know. I just heard it before. And like, they were just absolutely mortified.
Oh my God.
And I mean, it was quite funny, don't get me wrong, but it was like, they were mortified. And I looked at my mum and she was like, turn the game off. Just turn the game off. Just turn the game off now. But that was one experience where I just remember being like, oh God, we shouldn't have played this game. Why did I think it was a good idea? But there has also been a Switch game that me and like my sister and my parents over Christmas last year, when we were stuck at home with COVID, played Ludo on my sister's Switch. And I don't know what it was about this. Either it was the game or because we've been stuck inside for so long and we were getting sick of each other. But this game of Ludo just transpired into a very intense, full-scale argument between the entire family. And we all just like went to bed, didn't say anything. It was like 9:30. And I was like, I'm going to bed. And I just went upstairs and I'm like, I've had enough. I'm upset with you all over this game of Ludo on the Switch. And I still don't know what it was about it that made me so angry, made us all so angry. But that game of Ludo caused some serious tension last Christmas for a good couple of days. And then we were all confused why we were even upset with each other in the first place. So yeah, family games are good, but my family seemingly can't be trusted to play games together.
Fun.
Yeah. So Ben, what's your story?
Well, like Peter, I've never had a particularly bad time with party games or anything like that. I remember I took my PlayStation VR to my parents' house when it first came out, and my grandma had to go on it. And I put her in the VR headset. She was sat on a chair, and it was the VR experience where you're in the shark cage.
Oh God, yeah.
And you're lowered down, and she had a great time. I don't think she really understood how it worked though, because she was just sort of. She wasn't like looking down or up or behind her or anything. She was just sort of turning her head and going, "Ooh, wow, ooh!" Like grandma, you're missing it. You're missing all
shark, grandma.
Grandma, look out for the shark! Ooh. And that was it. That was pretty much it. So that was kind of underwhelming. Hidden Agenda is a PlayLink game that I've played with my family, but just my parents and my siblings. And I played it with my siblings before, and they love it. And my parents were all in. They were really enjoying it, and they understood how it worked. And the reason I've included it here is because Hidden Agenda has got a really weird ending where it just sort of finishes. And like it comes down to the wire at the end. And if you make one wrong decision or like miss a tiny rubbish QTE that you have to drag a cursor on your phone screen to hit on the TV, which is sometimes very difficult to do, you just die, and that's the end. And that's exactly what happened. And it was sort of we'd played for 2 or 3 hours going through this mystery and making decisions, and then right at the end, dead, and then game over, and then roll credits, and it was like super flat. Like my parents were just sort of kind of disappointed because it just ended because of a stupid QuickTime event that none of us could manage to do in time. And it was and then the ending is just it's the credits rolling and various bits of voiceover from characters like wow, such a shame that this happened. And it's like, well, that didn't happen, and that shouldn't have happened because we did everything right. We just messed up this one thing, and then it just ended. But yeah, that's about it though. On the whole, they tend to go very well, I think.
Yeah. So I would recommend playing anything with your family except Jackbox or Ludo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. That's it.
Maybe just with my family, just don't play those games.
Yeah, maybe.
Yours might be all right. You never know.
Maybe. Who knows? Well, it's time to move on to something that's very large. Are we all ready?
Yeah.
It's time for the big discussion.
Big discussion.
It's the big discussion. It's big discussion time. Thank you, Callum Story, for the big discussion this week, which is, hey Bap, which announcements from the Game Awards got you excited, and how did this year's show compare to previous years? Now, of course, the Game Awards was last week at the time of recording,
Yes.
but we'd already done a podcast then, I think. So, you know,
Yeah.
Recorded it, yeah.
no time to talk about it. Peter, what did you think of the Game Awards?
I thought it was. I think if you know what you're supposed to be getting out of the Game Awards, which is a bunch of trailers, then in that sense it was all right. I mean, it wasn't. There was. I don't know if there was anything that like absolutely blew me away with excitement, but there were a bunch of things that I thought, oh yeah, you know, that's good. Either new reveals or additional like new trailers on stuff we already knew about. So we'll get to those in a minute. But broadly speaking, I thought, yeah, it was more trailers, and yeah, they did a few awards in between. I know there's a lot of rhetoric online that says, hello, why are we not doing the awards at the Game Awards? And I think if that's what you want out of the Game Awards, or if you value that as much as the trailers, I can totally understand why you might be disappointed. But as I say, it's to me, it's about if you know what to expect from the Game Awards, and if you're at peace with the fact that it is really just a big, you know, kind of a corporate event in a sense, or it's, you know, it's just a big advertising campaign, a lot of money changing hands, then I don't mind. You know, that's what I sit down and watch it for. I don't sit down and watch it to find out who won the awards. I'd happily just go to bed and read about it in the morning, if not. So yeah, I didn't mind that. I thought there was still a bit of I didn't really like the way that Jeff tried to address the Activision thing, but refused to say Activision. And you know, then there was actually some totally reasonable discussion about the fact that he said, oh yeah, we don't want, you know, all these bad companies, that they're not worth the space and time, and they need to, you know, look at themselves. And then immediately it was, anyway, here's Quantic Dream.
Yeah.
So, and that's a totally fair point. We didn't really clock that at the time, but I saw it after the fact and I thought, oh yeah, that is absolutely a valid criticism. So that was the one thing that I probably found the most disappointing, is that Jeff refused to name Activision, which is the one he was really talking about. And then actually, yeah, fair enough, he then moved on to doing one of the kind of headline opening reveals was Quantic Dream game. So
he also talks a lot about like the players being responsible for like hate and stuff as well. Like it was like, you know, there's no room for hate with, you know, everyone, but players as well. You shouldn't be online hate, you know, it's not important. And I was like, we're talking about the players right now, Jeffy.
It's just skirting around naming and shaming Activision Blizzard. He wanted to just broadly say, don't we hate it when bad people do bad things?
Yeah,
I hate bad stuff.
Yeah, man. We do, but like,
brave,
we know
what a brave
why
stance.
you're saying this.
Who's
What a
the
brave
bad people?
stance.
Yeah. So that was a bit of a disappointment. But broadly speaking, I went in there expecting trailers. I liked some of the trailers, so I came away satisfied. But it wasn't maybe as good as last year, I would argue. Yeah. Ashton.
I have a hot take.
Okay.
I think Game Awards was a mess.
Okay.
I think that it is so wrong in the way that it's done, and it confuses me. Having never stayed up to watch a Game Awards before, and it being my first one, was just baffled by the whole thing. Like, it felt so weird. I was like, how is this a Game Awards? Because you called it the Game Awards, but you've only really done 5 awards. The rest you've just like powered through in the space of like 10 seconds. You know, we had like, here's 15 minutes of trailers. Now here's one award where they've got 30 seconds to talk, and they actively have said, oh, we've not got long to say anything. Oh, I'm being rushed off. Yeah, I've got to go now. And then we're going to power through like 6 more awards in the space of a minute when no one gets to come up and receive an award, and we don't even get to like dwell on the fact that these games have been given an award or anything. I think what has happened to the Game Awards is that Jeff, maybe he started off, you know, with a good idea, but then he was like, how do I pay for this? Oh, adverts. But now it is just adverts with a sprinkling of Jeff talking about something every like 20 minutes that is just like a waste of everyone's time. I think that if it's going to do it, they should have Jeff's Magical Mystery Night of Fun after like an hour of the Game Awards. Just do all the awards, just get them over and done with. And if people don't watch it. And then after, if you want to pay for your Game Awards, you just put in all of the trailers. Like, you just have Jeff's Magical Mystery After Party, and he just has all of his like trailers that they play, and that all the advertisements come in one go, so that you can actually, for the people who do want to watch the awards, and for the people that have worked their ass off to like win these awards and try and get them, actually have time to like take it all in and talk about things. Because, you know, these devs have worked really hard to win these awards, and then they don't even have a chance to like say anything. They just like rush straight off. And I was like, well, what's the point? Don't call it the Game Awards if the awards section is just going to be like your third thing that's most important in your list of like things that are important in this night. So I liked some of it. I was confused by the whole like vibe of the stream. I thought it was weird. I couldn't tell who was benefiting really in terms of like, well, I could. Jeff Keighley was benefiting, but you know, it was one of those things where it felt like no one really wanted to be there in person. There was loads of people who were just kind of there to either deliver an award or, you know, just be nearby in case they might have won one. I just kind of felt like it was all over the place, really. And I think that it's not a Game Awards. It's Jeff Keighley's mates all hang around and he gets paid absolute bajillions to play some trailers. And also, it was at 3 a.m. I was tired. I was confused and tired. And it's just, I think that I didn't really get it. And I think, you know, he does such a good job with Summer Games Fest. And that's really well done. And a lot of people look forward to that more so than E3. But yeah, I just think it was all over the place. And the whole Activision Blizzard thing was just stupid as well. Like, not mentioning it and no one even bringing it up or anything. Yeah. So
I will just correct myself. I said that it was better than... I said last year was better. I actually meant 2019, but I keep forgetting what year it is. So. But yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm inclined to agree, Ashton. I've never watched Game Awards live, and I've in fact never watched a full thing before, even when it used to be called the VGAs, because I'd heard it was terrible, really long. It started at an obscene time in the UK, and the awards aren't very important or prestigious. That's not to say that the people who won them didn't deserve them, but they just are relegated so much and always have been that they just don't matter. Like a Game Award doesn't mean anything at all because they don't make it mean anything. And the following morning, every single announcement and trailer is easily consumable on multiple websites. So there's almost no point in watching it live. And that's why I've never watched it live before. And by all accounts, they've come a really long way. They used to be just the worst. And they have slowly and steadily improved. But you're right, Ashton. He's done so well with Summer Games Fest and Gamescom Opening Night Live that why not just spin the awards off into its own thing? If you want to do a December showcase of 1 billion trailers, do that. Just don't have it attached to the Game Awards. Or, God forbid, make the event longer and give people time to accept their bloody awards and actually talk about it and make a big deal out of it. The Activision stuff was stupid. There were lots of games there. I've seen this going around as well. Lots of games there that are from companies that are either wholly or are partially owned by communist Chinese interests, which obviously is also a big red flag, but apparently that's fine. I do feel for Jeff in the sense that he is in an impossible situation where he can't win because people from Activision were understandably sad that their games weren't shown off, like as in developers, not people who are, you know, because someone's done something bad. I think the quote was, I don't get to take my victory lap, or our team don't get to take our victory lap for our hard work. So while I think it's the right decision for Activision stuff to not be there, Jeff couldn't do it right. Like, there's not a right way for him to do it. He could have done it better, absolutely, but I don't think there was a way for him to do it without getting any criticism. So it was a super interesting show, and I'm glad we stayed up to stream reactions to it, because I had a really fun time streaming reactions. And if you've seen our reaction stream, and you can watch it now on our VODs channel, you can watch our minds unravel in real time, and it's quite a sight, as it sort of goes from 1 a.m. to 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and it's still going. And by the time they had a physical pot boy prop from Elden Ring wheel onto the stage, I was gone. I didn't even know if what I was seeing was real anymore.
I didn't realize quite how early on in the evening the "Is This Legs" moment was. In my mind, it was like so much later than it was, but it wasn't even that long into the stream. It was like an hour and a half. It's like 2 a.m.
Oh my God.
And we'd already lost it.
You'll have to watch our reactions to find out, or see the Twitch stream highlight, or just the stream highlight of the week that went out, if you want to know what the hell that was about. But yeah, I think the Game Awards is too long. It's too sort of confused about what it wants to be. It's clearly a gigantic marketing event. And that's fine, as Peter said, if that's what you want. But come on, don't pull the wool over our eyes and not give people the chance to even accept some of their awards. You know, it was just, they weren't even reading the nominees for some of them. They were just showing up on screen like it was rubbish. It just felt like such a slap in the face. And
they did like a bunch of them during the pre-show, where they did like, I think it was like sound design was just during the pre-show with like the esports one. And I'm like, some people would say that's like quite an important thing, like that's a big deal for most games, and you've just bunged it in the pre-show. So
if we're accounting for the fact as well, by the way, that you can just wake up in the morning and watch all the trailers, then I'm with you in that I wouldn't stay up and watch that on my own for sure. But in the sense that I enjoyed the actual showcase of trailers, I thought it was a reasonable showcase compared to last year. I thought the year before was better. But in terms of the actual event, I'm with you in that, like, there should be more time for the awards. Don't call it the Game Awards and then not spend any time on the awards. That's just literally ridiculous.
Call it Jeffrey's Big December Game Bash, and we'll all know what it is. And
Jeffy's Magical Mystery Evening, I think, is what.
That'd be nice too. You never know what's going to happen. You got Giancarlo Esposito there fumbling his lines. You got Pot Boy
breaking boundaries.
You've got the lady who's playing. Is it Amanda Wallace? I think in what's it called? Suicide Squad game came out. In real life.
Was so weird.
It's really like it's a real combination of cringe, and I'm not saying that I would ever in a million years tune in to watch an awards show for video games. It's the trailers that I'm there for. I'm glad people get these awards and they win them, but I'm personally not interested in watching that. I want to see the trailers and the announcements, and I feel like that's probably the case with a lot of people. And I realize that's how Jeff pays for the Game Awards, is by having this be one big marketing event. But it's just, there's so much marketing that there's no time for any awards. So just give them their own event. I don't know how you fund it, but come on, just stop pulling our leg here.
What was the weird, like, snake motif that was on the back, like, all the time?
Yeah, that was weird.
There was like a big,
weird, wasn't it?
Big brown snake thing.
Yeah.
It's really strange. I don't know. Either way, though, why don't we run through our standout showings in terms of announcements and trailers and stuff? Maybe we just pass it from person to person and work around.
Yeah.
What do you think, Peter? What was your first highlight?
Well, not necessarily chronologically my first highlight, but I thought perhaps the most intriguing trailer for me was Hellblade: Senua's Saga. I thought that was really interesting. And like, if we're actually to believe that was true gameplay, as it was touted as, then that's fantastic. It's true, like the new generation, that's what it's capable of. But I'm still very much reserving judgment there on whether that was more of a vertical slice, because it just looked too good to be true, I think. But in any case, if we just, for now, take it as read that it was real, then I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, it looked very good. I've also got that written down.
Yeah, me too.
It was, again, this was part of the issue with the show, is that a lot of the really cool big stuff was right at the start, and then it just sort of got more sparse as it went on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
When you say one at a time, do you want to do one game, go between us?
Yeah, just pass it along.
Ashton,
to Ashton.
What about you? Another one?
Okay. I was really excited for Star Wars, and then I saw it by Quantic Dream, so that made me not excited anymore. But one I was actually really excited for was the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League gameplay trailer that we got. Looked really cool, and I'm hoping that it is a co-op experience, like couch or online co-op, similar to 4-player like Borderlands kind of situation, but obviously not. But it looked really cool. Like the gameplay looked fun. It looked pretty dynamic. Kind of reminded me of Sunset Overdrive in like the fluid of the movement and the combat and stuff. But I think that looked really cool. So hopefully it won't be disappointing. But yeah, I think I'm the first trailer looks pretty good for Suicide Squad in terms of like story CG trailer. But yeah, I think that looked pretty fun, and hopefully it will be good.
Nice. I was also quite intrigued by a very problematic Quantic Dreams Star Wars game.
Yeah.
Because I really like their games, and I know that David Quaid is apparently an awful, terrible man, and there's a really bad work culture there. But I'm still really intrigued by this. It's a long way off, and we'll see what ends up coming of the allegations at that studio, and if this game will even be any good. But I'm surprised that if there's such a public stink about the studio that Disney have signed off at all on them making a Star Wars game. But we'll just have to see. Telltale's The Expanse and Star Trek games. I'm so glad Telltale is back. I don't really care for Star Trek, and I've never watched The Expanse, but I'll probably play both of those because I like Telltale.
Just to touch on Star Wars as well, in some ways, I'm not that excited. Well, I'm disappointed it's Quantic Dream, but not even because of the workplace practices, but also because although I thought Detroit was all right, I didn't really like Heavy Rain. I find those games, they're kind of a bit laughable in the sense that, we enjoy playing through the Dark Pictures anthology games as well. And it's that kind of thing where, you can have a good time playing them, but they're just a bit weird. And like, we've joked quite a lot, even about Detroit Become Human, which is the one that I've enjoyed the most out of the games that I've played. So my concern is that it's just going to come out a bit odd and just feel a little bit like just a David Cage game that's been painted with Star Wars branding, and I'm just a bit worried about that. I don't mind it being presumably a narrative decision-based game set in a Star Wars world, although I don't typically play those games in my own free time. I would very much play a Star Wars game set in that kind of, with that genre. But it being one of their games specifically, for me, as a solo experience, just trying to sit at home and enjoy a new Star Wars game, that really puts a big question mark on it for me. I think it was probably going to be streamable in that sense, and it'll be enjoyable to play through like it was when we played Heavy Rain in Detroit. But I'm really not sure. And Beyond Two Souls, don't get me started on that.
Beyond Two Souls was not good. I really liked Detroit, and Heavy Rain was like a complete game changer when it came out, but it has since aged not very well. I'm confident they can make a very good game, but we'll have to wait and see.
And they might have some level of, Disney or Lucas execs like breathing down their neck, making sure it doesn't get too out there as well. They've got the Lucasfilm story group who I think have their fingers in many pies I think basically whenever a book or a comic or anything is coming out, you have continuity people saying, So, yeah.
So the other thing I'm excited about, even though I haven't played the first one, is the second Alan Wake that's coming out. With the survival horror kind of twist that they've thrown at it. I really want to play the remake that's come out at some point. I just haven't got around to it yet. So hopefully I can play that first and then have a go at Alan Wake 2. I think obviously it was just a kind of a teaser trailer, and we got to speak to the man who was like really nervous but did a really good job. Good for him. And yeah, I think that should be really good. So I say it should be. Hopefully it will be really good. And it'll be interesting to see their take on a survival horror, because I mean, Control had elements of horror in it, and Alan Wake in its nature is quite kind of dark and gritty. So it'd be quite interesting to see how they do horror. And I mean, it looks quite spooky in the trailer anyway. So should be good, hopefully.
Yeah, should be. I need to play the first one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, get caught up. What about that Somerville from some of the people who made Limbo and Inside?
Oh yeah.
I forgot that was shown.
Did we
Still
figure out if that
pretty
was
nice.
the same one as before with the dot?
Yeah, I think it is. It's got to be. Imagine if 2 games like that existed at once. I think there was, I mean, citation needed, but I think the original, the Playdead, I believe the studio was that did Limbo and Inside, like some of the people fell out with each other maybe, and so these guys splintered off and started doing their own thing, even though it looks exactly like Limbo. I may be wrong.
Maybe both splinter groups are making it.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, I may be conflating studio fallouts here, but that may well be what happened. But yeah, if there were 2 of them making very similar looking games, that'd be quite funny. But no, Somerville looks great. Looking forward to
that. Also to touch on games that we've already seen, but we saw a little bit more. The more I see of Forspoken, the more excited I get.
That was next
right from the beginning, I thought it looked great, but when we saw that extra bit of gameplay and stuff at TGA's, I was like, hell yeah, can't wait for this. So it's probably, for me, it might be one of my most anticipated games of the next. I think it is. I think they've said next year, haven't they?
May 24th, I think, is what that.
Yeah.
I think we got our first date on this trailer. Yeah, May 24th.
Yeah, so very excited for that. Can't wait.
We also got another look at Tachia.
Yeah, that's my other one.
And that's coming out in 2020, like spring 2022. So hopefully I haven't got long to wait for that one. Coming out with everything else in spring 2022, because everything is. That game looks so cute, and I am excited for it. Hopefully it'll be fun. Nice little jaunty experience. But we got quite a look at gameplay this time, didn't we? We got some look at combat and kind of moving around the area. So that looks quite fun. I'm excited. Should be good. I reckon.
Yeah, my only concern with that, as I've had with a few games that are similar, where it's beautiful, indie, roam around an island, vibing. What do you actually do though? Like, what is there a story? What's the goal? I know not every game needs a story, but I feel like I need a story from most games to keep me hooked.
We might need to go back and watch it, but I can't remember if there was a little bit about the story in the new trailer. But I haven't watched it since. I
think there was a little bit of
2 a.m.
dialogue, wasn't there? Maybe not. I might be conflating.
So. I think I remember there being some kind of story element in it.
I just hope it has a focus, like a main thrust.
Yeah.
That I can get engaged with. Yeah. But that looks lovely.
Anything else, Ben?
Tiny Tina's Wonderlands.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
I will play that when that comes out. Again, that's pretty soon. Then March.
March, yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty exciting. The last thing I've got on here is Elden Ring, which obviously still looks good, but they didn't need to show it. I think it's kind of weird that it won the award for most hyped video game or whatever, and then they had a gameplay trailer to show. I thought that was a bit sus, but that's fine, I suppose. But yeah, I really didn't need to see that trailer because I think I know what it's all about.
Yeah, you do get that sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes you want them to stop advertising stuff. You're kind of like, well, I just want to play it now, and I don't really want the spoilers and stuff. It's like, I feel that way about I think I said this at the time, actually, when they finally dropped a new Lego Star Wars gameplay trailer like some months ago. I was like, at this point, I'm not going to watch it. I've been waiting for that trailer and a release date to come out, but you know what? I'm not watching that now because I know I'm going to play it. So just just give me the game.
Absolutely.
So I've just remembered, just a second. I'm not excited for it, but do you remember the Gollum game?
I've written
Yes.
this down as a game that I'm now less excited for.
It looks
thanks to
weird.
Game Awards.
Yeah,
It's a
so
CG trailer. It
weird.
looks so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't like it.
Yeah, when they announced that, I thought, oh, that's intriguing. You know, if it's like maybe a third person, you know, action adventure game or something. I don't know what genre that game is. I've not really looked into it. I just know it exists. But seeing that and how weird he looked, I'm now slightly less invested. So hopefully they'll pull it back. Maybe do a bit of a Sonic movie and just tweak him at the last minute.
Yeah, maybe so.
He did
Maybe.
look weird.
Well,
And how did you guys feel? Let me just ask, how did you guys feel about the Matrix Unreal
Didn't like it.
experience? No,
Didn't
I didn't.
like
I
it.
saw
I
some
didn't
people
like it,
really bigging it up after the awards
It
finished.
looks
They were like,
so
"This is the
strange."
future of gaming." I was like, "What are you talking about?"
I haven't played the free demo thing.
No,
I think a lot of
haven't.
people have been very impressed with that. But certainly that trailer footage they showed, the faces looked so wrong. I didn't like it.
Yeah,
I think the issue is the thing that they keep doing in games where like they're using kind of Unreal 5 or even Unreal 4 is making faces that we already know and already exist in our minds. Like we know what Keanu Reeves looks like. We know what Carrie-Anne Moss looks like. We've seen the movie. This looks wrong because we know their faces so well. They're like one of those faces that we can just picture in our heads. So when you show us this weird Uncanny Valley version of them, it's much weirder than if it was a person that has been rendered solely and created in this engine to be a person.
You've probably got a point. Yeah,
I think that's the issue with it. I think because I imagine there's games that like are very close to realistic of people, but they never look so Uncanny Valley because they're not people we've ever seen before in real life. Like Aloy, obviously we've never seen her before, so she would never look as Uncanny Valley, in my mind anyway, to a face that we have seen a lot before. So maybe that's why it made us feel so weird and uncomfy, was because we know those faces so well. But I think I'm going to try and give it a go this weekend. And people have been saying it's really good and that it's really a look into Unreal 5. But yeah, the trailer was weird. It was so weird. They look like they made of jelly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's
It's
strange.
very odd. Well, make sure you let us know what you think of all the things we've discussed this week in the comments below and various other places around the internet. Peter's going to tell you where you can find us right now.
Hello, we're on YouTube and Twitch at youtube.com and twitch.tv/Team TripleJump. It's where all of our content goes out on the internet. We stream on both, by the way. When we're streaming on Twitch, you can get essentially a free Twitch sub. It's bundled in with your Amazon Prime if you've got that. So consider spending your Twitch Prime sub on us if you like. And when we're streaming on both of those channels, we're modded by Lobrotovich, Trowling Badger, and Mr. Black. Thank you, mods. We've got social media at twitter.com and facebook.com/Team TripleJump. We have video and live stream announcements over on Twitter. Although now we're putting out some of those video announcements on Facebook as well, which is handy. And also we've got some like old video content going out on Facebook. We're occasionally doing Facebook Lives as well. That may or may not be the case depending on how lockdown affects that. Not that we couldn't do that from home, but we'll just see how things go with that. Thank you to Fraser for looking after our social media presence. And finally from me, patreon.com/Team TripleJump is where you can go to have a look at all of our Patreon tiers. There are many of them with many different rewards. Go and check them out, please.
We have a website. It's triplej.mup. That's triplejU.mp. And if you want to join our Discord, you can go to triplej.mup/Discord. Hang out with our amazing community. Share what kind of things you've been making and creating. When we're on Discord, we're modded by Jack, Joe, Tori, and Hollow Eyes. And if they tell you to do something, do it. We also have this podcast available in its audio form. I know that technically this is audio form, regardless of where you're watching it, because we're at home. But if you wanted to listen to it on the go, maybe you're getting a train home or, you know, going for a family walk in your wellies and you don't want to have to listen to them, so you put a podcast on. Check out the podcast at triplej.mup/podcast and see where you can find it in all of its audio forms. If you want to watch one of our live streams because you've missed one of the ones during the week, never fear. We have upload all of our VODs at triplejd.mup/VODs to check out all the ones that if you've missed, if you have missed them. And finally, from me, if you want to buy some merch, you can go to TripleJumpShop.com. We've got lots of new merch out at the moment. Scarf, t-shirt, jacket, pin, tin. Other things still available from before. CD. I don't know if we've still got them, but we might.
I think we might have a few, but we're running low.
CD.
So that's TripleJumpShop.com for all of your merchy needs. And if you want to find out when the next merch drop is happening or keep in the loop, follow Triple Jump Shop on Twitter. And if you receive any merch, maybe for Christmas, tag us in it on Twitter. We'd love to see you rocking it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Why not follow Peter and Ashton on Twitter and Instagram at That's Peter Austin and at Scrambled Ashton, and myself just on Twitter at Confused_Dude. We do lists every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, streams every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Thursday being the joint stream.
Blaze it
on YouTube. Monday to Friday being the solo streams on Twitch. Worst Games Ever is fortnightly Friday for patrons of a certain tier, Sunday for everyone else. We do the podcast every Saturday and we do shows all the flipping time. Why not leave a 5-star review on iTunes or your platform of choice? It helps. Something to do with Al Gore's rhythms. Remember, go to facebook.com/Team Triple Jump. Give us a follow there. Please, please, please. We'd really, really appreciate it. It'd help us out a lot. You know why we're doing it. It's so we can start monetizing our video content and then we can make the channel even better. So thank you in advance. There is so much coming your way over the Christmas break. We'll be running down the exhaustive list next week on the podcast, but we've still got some stuff coming your way between now and then, including main menu, Christmas-themed cooking. It went really well, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it went well.
It definitely went.
Mm-hmm.
Put your best headphones on and it's a weirdly auditory experience. Considering it's a cooking show, you'd think that would be more visual, but get your sound bar boosted and so on.
Terrible.
It's going to be great.
Absolutely terrible. The Tat Appeal 2021 video is ready to go and it will be out later today at the time of recording, Saturday evening. It should be good to go. We have had an obscene amount of tat and it was extremely generous and we're very humbled by it and we really appreciate it. So many of you were so lovely and generous, and we had a complete nightmare trying to export the video once it had been edited. It just did not want to happen. So we managed to do it finally. It's taken about a week and a half, but it is now exported and at the time of recording it's nearly ready to go. So keep an eye out. That's not all though, is it?
No,
Ashton, please go ahead.
it's okay. I just kind of wanted to shout no. We also have a Weirdest Games Ever coming this weekend. We all forgot it was the Christmas episode until the very last minute. So it's not a Christmas game if that's what you're expecting. But it's fun. I get to play the game and these guys get to make fun of me the whole time. And I may or may not cry. You have to watch it to find out.
Yeah, that's a good point. I just remembered. Yeah, no, that may or may not happen. That's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
And finally, once again, the Patreon Game of the Year votes will be open very soon. So keep an eye out on Patreon and also Twitter as well, where a notification will be going out. So
also, next week's podcast questions will have already been out at time of release because we're recording it early next week, because otherwise we'll be recording it on Christmas Eve. So it's going to be out. It's out already, so you should be able to add your Christmassy questions onto the list if you haven't already gone over to Patreon to do that.
Yeah. Please go and do that. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Just enough time for Peter to tell us about this week's sponsor once again.
Hey, look out for the horrible, uncanny valley faces of Barbara Windsor, Sid James, Kenneth Williams, other people too who I can't remember from the ensemble cast. Coming now, The Matron Awakens, an Unreal Engine 5 experience. It's going to be great.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Look after yourselves, everyone. See you next week.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.